There is a needle, and there is a vein. For some, the needle is a literal thing, a sharp point that delivers a chemical rush, a temporary escape from the loud, messy reality of being alive. For me, the needle has always been a sound wave. The vein has been my mind. I am addicted to music. I say this without hyperbole, without trying to be poetic or cool. It is a simple, plain fact. Music is my drug of choice. It has been since I was a teenager, hiding in my room with a pair of oversized headphones, letting the distorted guitars and crashing drums build a fortress around me. It was a safe place then. A place to feel without having to explain the feeling. A place to be someone else, somewhere else, for the length of a 4-minute song. But addictions are rarely about safety for long. They are about dependency. The fortress becomes a prison. The escape becomes a cage. I need the music to function. I need it to wake up, to walk to the shops, to write, to think. The silence has become terrifying. It is a vacuum where my own thoughts, unfiltered and unwelcome, rush in to fill the space. So, I keep the music playing, a constant hum, a soundtrack to my life that has slowly, insidiously become more important than the life itself. The notes and melodies are a crutch, a beautiful, ornate and utterly essential crutch that I am terrified to ever put down for fear that I will immediately fall to the ground and not know how to get back up again. The high is real. There are moments when a song hits just right, when a chord progression unlocks a part of your chest you didn't know was locked. It is a feeling of pure, unadulterated euphoria. A surge of dopamine that feels like sunshine breaking through a thick canopy of clouds. It makes you feel connected to everything, to the universe, to the stranger sitting opposite you on the train, to yourself. You chase that feeling. You create playlists designed to engineer it. You search for new artists, new albums desperate for that next hit. You need it to feel good. Then you need it just to feel normal. And then eventually you just need it, full stop. The reason no longer matters. The problem is you are outsourcing your emotions. You are letting a carefully constructed collection of sounds dictate your inner world. Feeling sad? There's a playlist for that. Need to feel powerful? There's a song for that. It is emotional alchemy, but you are not the alchemist. You are merely the subject of the experiment. The music becomes a stand-in for genuine feeling, a convenient and powerful substitute. And like any substitute, it starts to wear away at the real thing. The lines blur. The joy you feel listening to a perfect pop song starts to feel more real than the quiet contentment of a peaceful afternoon. And that is a very dangerous place to be. A place where you are no longer the one in control. I have sat in rooms where people talk about their addictions. I have heard the stories, the language of recovery, words like powerless and surrender. I have listened to people talk about Narcotics Anonymous and Alcoholics Anonymous, about the structure and the community, the shared understanding that you are not alone in your fight against the substance that has taken over your life. They talk about the 12 steps, a clear, defined path towards sobriety, a map to guide you out of the wilderness. I have always felt a strange sense of kinship in those moments, and also a profound sense of isolation. Because there is no Music Addicts Anonymous. There is no support group for people whose drug is sound. My addiction is socially acceptable. It is even encouraged. People share their favorite songs like they are sharing gifts. You have to listen to this, they say. No one looks at you with concern when you say you can't get through the day without your headphones. No one stages an intervention when you spend hours meticulously curating playlists instead of engaging with the world. It is seen as a passion, a hobby, a personality trait. But inside, the mechanism feels the same. The craving, the dependency, the use of an external thing to alter your internal state, the way it can numb the pain but also numb everything else. The joy, the peace, the quiet. All of it gets flattened by the constant noise. There is no rock bottom for a music addict. Not in the traditional sense. You don't lose your house or your job, you don't wake up in a jail cell with no memory of the night before. The damage is quieter, more internal. It is the slow erosion of your own emotional landscape. It is the inability to sit with your own thoughts. It is the panic that sets in when your phone battery dies and you are left alone with the sound of your own breathing. It is a hollowing out, a replacement of your inner world with someone else's art. And while art can save us, it can also consume us if we are not careful, if we let it become a substitute for living. And so, I never took the 12 steps. I never admitted I was powerless over anything. Because how can you be powerless over something so beautiful? How can you surrender to the idea that melodies and harmonies have a hold on you that is unhealthy? It feels absurd. It feels like a betrayal of the one thing that has consistently brought color to a world that often feels gray. But the truth remains. The dependency is there. The need is there. The fear of silence is there. It is an invisible addiction, a quiet crisis happening between my ears, and there is no clear map to guide me out of it. There is only the endless, looping soundtrack. My mind has been a chemical battleground for years, a place where neurotransmitters fight their own little wars. And into this battle, I have introduced various forces. There have been medications, antidepressants, pills designed to rebalance the delicate chemistry of the brain, to lift the fog, to turn down the volume on the anxiety. They work in their own blunt way. They are like a dam, holding back the floodwaters. But they are not a perfect solution. They can make you feel disconnected, a little fuzzy around the edges, as if you are watching your own life on a television with the color saturation turned down just a little too much. The lows are not as low, but the highs are not as high either. Then there is the music. Music is a different kind of chemical. It doesn't come in a pill. It enters through the ears and goes straight to the brain's pleasure centers. It releases dopamine. It can mimic the effects of stimulants, making your heart race and your mood soar. It can act like a sedative, slowing your breathing and calming your nerves. It is a powerful, unregulated drug that we all have access to. For a brain that is already struggling to find its equilibrium, this is a potent and sometimes dangerous variable. The music can amplify the effects of the medication, or it can fight against it. It can create a false sense of well-being that vanishes the moment the song ends. And sometimes, in the past, there were other drugs too. Substances that promised a shortcut to a different state of mind. They would warp perception, bend reality into interesting new shapes. And when you mix these with medication and music, you create a truly chaotic internal symphony. The thoughts are no longer your own. They are a product of this volatile cocktail. The music sounds different, deeper, more meaningful. But it is a manufactured meaning, a chemical illusion. The feelings are intense, overwhelming, but they are not real. They are echoes in a hall of mirrors built by pharmacology and sound waves. It is a confusing and disorienting place to be. The struggle is to understand what is causing what. Is this feeling me? Is it the medication? Is it the song I just listened to? Or is it some combination of all three? The mind becomes a puzzle with too many pieces that don't quite fit together. You lose the baseline. You forget what normal feels like. Your own brain, the very thing that is supposed to be you, becomes an unreliable narrator. It tells you stories. It creates feelings out of thin air. And you are just along for the ride, trying to hold on, trying to distinguish the signal from the noise in a symphony of chemicals you only partially understand. There are holes in my memory. Not big, gaping chasms, but small, moth-eaten patches. Moments that should be there but aren't. Conversations that have faded into an indistinct murmur. The texture of a particular day, lost forever. It's, an unsettling feeling, like walking through a house you grew up in to find that rooms have been rearranged and furniture is missing. You know something is wrong, but you can't quite put your finger on what has been taken. This is what it feels like when you lose control of your own mind. It is a quiet, creeping theft of the self. The thoughts are the hardest part. Sometimes they are not my own. They arrive like intrusive pop-up ads in the browser of my consciousness. Dark thoughts, anxious thoughts, nonsensical thoughts. They loop and repeat, a broken record skipping on the same terrible groove. I can observe them happening, but I can't stop them. It feels like there is a ghost in the machine. A malevolent operator pulling levers and pushing buttons without my permission. I try to fight it. I try to reason with it. But it is like arguing with the rain. The thoughts just keep coming, washing over everything until I am soaked in a feeling of dread that I cannot trace back to any logical source. Music, my trusted companion, sometimes becomes an accomplice to this chaos. A song can trigger a memory I didn't know I had, but the memory is distorted. It's tinged with a sadness or an anxiety that wasn't there originally. The song rewrites the past. Or worse, a song can become the anchor for a negative thought loop. The melody that once brought joy now becomes the soundtrack to a panic attack. The lyrics that once felt profound now feel like a personal accusation. The music I used to control my feelings starts to control me in ways I never intended, reinforcing the very mental prisons I was trying to escape. This loss of control is terrifying. It is the ultimate vulnerability. To not be able to trust your own mind is to lose your footing in the world. You question everything, your perceptions, your reactions, your memories. Who are you, if not the sum of your thoughts and experiences? When those become fragmented and unreliable, you become fragmented and unreliable too. You are a ship without a rudder, tossed about on a sea of internal chaos. All you can do is hold on and hope that you will eventually drift into calmer waters, where the ghosts in the machine will finally fall silent. There is a concept in robotics called the uncanny valley. It is the feeling of unease we get when we see a robot or an animation that looks almost but not quite human. It is the subtle wrongness that makes our skin crawl. For a long time I have been living in the uncanny valley of my own self. I look in the mirror and I see a person who looks like me. I hear a voice that sounds like mine, but it doesn't feel like me. There is a disconnect, a subtle wrongness. I am a convincing replica of myself, but I feel like an imposter in my own skin. This feeling is a direct result of the constant manipulation of my emotional state. The music, the meds, the memories warped by both, they create a layer of artificiality over everything. The happiness I feel when a euphoric song comes on is powerful, but it feels hollow. It is a borrowed joy, a synthetic high. It's like eating candy when you are starving. It gives you a quick burst of energy, but it has no real nutritional value. It doesn't sustain you, and when it fades, you are left feeling emptier than before, with a craving for something real, something that nourishes the soul. The confusion is the most painful part. It is a constant low-level hum of distress. Am I feeling this way because of something that actually happened, or because of the melancholic piano ballad I've had on repeat for the last hour? Am I calm because I am genuinely at peace? Or is this just the medication smoothing out the edges of my anxiety? The inability to know for sure is a form of madness. It makes you doubt every single feeling you have. You become a detective in your own life, constantly searching for clues, trying to determine the authenticity of your own emotions. This is the price of outsourcing your feelings. You lose the original blueprint. You forget what your own unadulterated emotions feel like. You exist in a state of perpetual emotional confusion, unable to trust your own heart or your own head. You smile, you laugh, you cry, but you are always questioning the source. It is a lonely and bewildering existence. To feel so much, and yet to feel so profoundly disconnected from it all. To be a stranger to yourself. To live in that uncanny valley, where you are almost, but not quite real. So where does one go from here? When your internal landscape has been so thoroughly shaped by external forces, how do you find your way back to your authentic self? There is no easy answer. There is no 12-step program for unraveling this complex knot of music, mind, and medication. There is only a wish, a hope, a quiet determination to try and find the real feelings again, buried beneath all the noise and the chemicals. It is a search for the authentic signal amidst a sea of static. The first step, I think, is to embrace the silence, to dare to turn the music off, to sit in a quiet room and just be. It is terrifying at first. The silence is loud. It is filled with the thoughts you have been trying to drown out, the anxiety, the sadness, the boredom. But you have to sit with it. You have to let it wash over you without reaching for the headphones. You have to relearn how to be alone with yourself. It is an act of bravery. It is the first step towards reclaiming your own mind from the soundtrack that has held it captive for so long. It is about finding new anchors, real anchors. The feeling of the sun on your skin, the taste of a fresh cup of tea, the sound of birds outside your window, the physical sensation of a deep breath. These things are real. They are not manufactured. They are not designed to create a specific emotional response. They just are. And by focusing on them, by grounding yourself in the simple, tangible reality of the present moment, you can start to build a new foundation. A foundation built not on borrowed feelings, but on genuine experience. It is a slow and difficult process. It is about creating new, better memories. I don't know if I will ever be completely free from my addiction to music. I don't know if I want to be. It has given me so much beauty. It has saved me on so many occasions, but I am learning to change my relationship with it, to use it as a spice, not as the main course, to find a balance, to seek out real joy, real sadness, real peace, even when it is difficult. The goal is not to erase the past, but to build a future where the memories are my own, and the feelings, for better or for worse, are truly, authentically mine. And in that quiet, honest space, perhaps I can finally learn to hear my own song.